From the truth behind the identity of an original trilogy character, to why Disney are obsessed with one particular thing in their version of Star Wars, to what certain creatures actually look like. Here are all those questions that even passionate fans of the ever-growing galaxy far, far away still do not know the official answer to. So I'm Gareth, this is What Culture Star Wars, and here are 9 Star Wars questions not even fans know the answer to. Number 9 is Rex the soldier in Return of the Jedi. By the time the Star Wars Rebels animated show had reached its end, it had been all but confirmed that the bearded rebel viewers saw fighting against the Empire on Endor in Episode 6 Return of the Jedi was actually none other than Captain Rex. They boasted the same facial hair, costume, and it was even said that Rex ended up fighting in that aforementioned Battle of Endor in the show's series finale. I mean, it had to be him, right? Well, despite Dave Filoni feeling it would be cool to sneak the beloved clone into the classic movies, the creator of the animated show ultimately decided not to officially make Rex a part of the original trilogy. Instead, he left it up to the audience to decide whether Rex was actually Nick Sant, the name of that rebel, or not. So in other words, there's no official answer when it comes to whether or not Rex was the person seen fighting alongside Han Solo, Leia Organa, and Chewbacca on the Forest Moon. All we know for sure is that he was there. Number 8 was George Lucas being serious about Starkiller's Darth name. Unquestionably one of the more badass names ever to pop up in the galaxy far, far away, and one that originally belonged to Luke Skywalker in early drafts of 1977's Star Wars. Starkiller was the Force Unleashed's ridiculously cool protagonist. There was a time there, though, when it looked like his name would have been anything but ridiculously cool. According to one of the game's developers, George Lucas suggested giving Starkiller the Darth names of Darth Icky and Darth Insanius. Yeah, that's right. Starkiller was simply to be his nickname, with his actual title being one of the aforementioned silly monikers if Lucas seemingly had his way. If you're wondering whether this was just a joke suggestion from the mind behind the galaxy far, far away, well, the fact the reveal of those names was then reportedly followed by a big old pause before Lucas then moved on to something else suggests he may have been serious. We'll never know for sure, and thanks to the team behind the game convincing Lucas that it was probably best to leave his Darth name for the sequel, the strange titles were ultimately dropped for that first game before then being forgotten about completely. Probably for the best. Number 7, why did George Lucas love Darth Talon so much? Alongside not knowing if George Lucas was kidding when he proposed 2 rather dodgy Darth names, it's also not really clear what made the creator fall in love with the idea of another dark side user. Darth Talon was a character first designed for the legendary comic series. She'd go on to appear as a major villain throughout that series, and had become a fan favorite by the time it concluded in 2010. Lucas was similarly hooked, and even went as far as to suggest that she should be a part of the then upcoming Red Fly Studio Maul-led Battle of the Sith Lords video game. There was just one problem. You see, Lucas wanted Talon and Maul to work with each other in the game. He was said to have even told Red Fly they're friends when he met them for a meeting. But with Talon only appearing in the galaxy over 170 years after Maul, it would not have made sense for her to be in the game with him. Lucas' solution? He suggested making the main character of the game a clone or descendant of Maul instead. His fixation with Talon didn't end with that cancelled game though. Lucas then decided he wanted to make Talon one of the central villains of his planned sequel trilogy, with the Twi'lek working with Maul once again in those movies. That also didn't happen in the end, of course, but Lucas was evidently Talon's #1 fan for a while there. It has been said that Lucas just liked the design of the character, but for him to choose to pump so much energy into trying to make this cool-looking Force user a major player in video games and movies, there surely must have been more to it than that, right? For now though, Lucas has refused to elaborate on his love for this Twi'lek. And while we're talking about the creator of this galaxy, I want to know right now, what is your favorite George Lucas story out there on the internet or just in the world? You let me know in the comment section down below. Number 6. What do Jawas look like under the hood? Despite being one of the very first alien species viewers were ever introduced to in the galaxy far, far away, it's still not known precisely what the Jawas actually, look like. Ever since they popped up in 1977's Star Wars, these aliens native to Tatooine have refused to pull down their little hoods and reveal their faces on screen, with only their glowing yellow eyes being visible underneath their robes. Hilariously, it's not just fans of this franchise that have spent years debating what they think these mysterious creatures look like either. The characters living in this galaxy also aren't exactly sure. Some claim that they're large rodent-like beings, others have called them deformed humanoids. And Pelimoto, who apparently dated one, even stated in the Book of Boba Fett that they were quite furry. Away from these rumors and throwaway comments though, Star Wars has still yet to really show off these scavengers' bodies or faces. After almost 50 years without a definitive answer, it may be wise to just let this remain one of the galaxy's great mysteries and allow fans to keep using their own imaginations to fill in the Jawa blanks. Cheers for stopping by to check out this What Culture Star Wars list today. If you're having a good time checking out these questions that even Star Wars fans don't know the answer to, then why not hit that subscribe button down below for more of this kind of stuff. Number 5. Who is the most powerful Force user in Star Wars? Ask a number of Star Wars fans that very question and you will likely get a different answer from each. Some will quickly jump to Anakin Skywalker. He was the chosen one after all, and someone who boasted a higher midichlorian count than Master Yoda. Frequent Star Wars creator Dave Filoni even called him the greatest Jedi of all time. Others would claim it was actually his son Luke, due to him technically defeating his father on the second Death Star. You could also argue that the likes of the aforementioned Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Sidious, Mace Windu, Bendu, or Rey are the undisputed strongest. Well, the truth is, there's no clear answer out there really. Each of those names that I've mentioned have all had their moments when they've displayed insane levels of power or ability, defeating skilled Sith Lords, Jedi Masters, and unleashing frightening amounts of Force energy. However, at time of recording, it's still never been confirmed in canon who the undisputed strongest in the galaxy actually is, with this likely remaining a fascinating question without an official answer for many more years to come. Number 4. What does balance to the Force actually mean? Now this one is a little bit different to the rest of the entries on this list, as it focuses on a question that a decent amount of Star Wars fans do actually know something close to the official answer to. However, there are still a great many out there who believe bringing balance to the Force means something else entirely. Throughout the Skywalker saga in particular, the Jedi were looking to restore balance to the Force by getting rid of the Sith. But many have argued that this wouldn't actually be balance at all. It would mean there would only be light in the galaxy without any darkness. So wouldn't true balance involve equal members of the dark side and light side? Well, in a word, no. According to George Lucas at least. He claimed that going to the dark side results in the Force going out of balance, as people give in to selfish urges, fear, and hatred. Things are then balanced when you're on the light side, living a more selfless life and trying to help others, not just yourself. Bringing balance to the Force in Star Wars then, in Lucas' mind, means destroying the Sith and all remnants of the dark side. This is an idea that is still somewhat open to interpretation all these years later though, with many simply choosing to believe in their own version of what bringing balance to the Force actually looks like, or perhaps just not being aware of Lucas' concept of balance in the first place. Number 3. Did Mace Windu really defeat Palpatine? Moments before he was blasted out of a Coruscant window and seemingly killed by Darth Sidious, with a big ol' assist from Anakin Skywalker, it did appear that Mace Windu had genuinely gotten the better of the Sith Lord in Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith? Or did Sheev Palpatine actually purposely lose this duel between two powerful Force users to bring Skywalker one step closer to the dark side? Many understandably believe the latter to be true, with Skywalker's emotional reaction to Windu threatening to kill Sidious there and then, chopping his arm off, finally cementing his fall. With Sidious pulling the strings so masterfully throughout the prequel trilogy, you won't put it past him planning all of the events that ultimately unfolded in that office. But according to George Lucas in the movie's DVD commentary, Windu did actually very much overpower Sidious, meaning that he technically won the duel, right? However, when the Sith Lord was claiming to be weak after having his Force lightning shot back at him, he was apparently pretending. Despite Windu apparently being the clear winner of the duel in Lucas' mind though, Sidious actor Ian McDiarmid has actually suggested that he indeed lost on purpose, telling Star Wars Celebration 2023 he wanted to compromise Anakin in another way, which he did, and destroy Mace at the same time. Put simply, it's still not completely clear what the truth actually is here. It's just an iconic scene that Star Wars fans will seemingly forever be debating. Number 2. What is the correct way to pronounce certain names in the galaxy? If this list has shown you one thing, it's that Star Wars fans have a habit of not being able to agree on things. One of said things is the way to correctly pronounce a whole host of different characters, beings, and other things found in this galaxy far, far away. For example, the giant walkers seen stopping their way through the Hoth snow. Well, some are quick to pronounce their name as at, while others spell out their AT-AT title. I fall in the latter camp. Certain species, such as the Twi'leks, names like Leia and Han, and a number of other things found walking around the various planets within the Star Wars franchise, have all been pronounced differently by folks both inside and outside of the movies and shows too. So what is the right way to say all of the things I've just said and more? Well, according to that man again, George Lucas, there isn't one. He'd tell actor Mark Hamill that he did not care how the actors pronounced these places, species, or other Star Wars names. Why? Because the various places in the galaxy would obviously pronounce things differently. Duh. In other words, there is no right answer to the question of how do you correctly pronounce insert Star Wars name here. You do you, folks. Nobody can tell you differently. Number 1. Why are Disney obsessed with blue lightsabers? Ending on a question that may not have even crossed your mind before, but one you will still likely struggle to find an answer for. Why on earth is the House of Mouse so into those blue lightsabers in its projects, eh? Really think about it. Ever since Disney bought Lucasfilm back in 2012, how many times have viewers seen a Jedi or hero fighting with a sky-colored laser sword? An awful lot, particularly in the sequels. Rey and Finn obviously used the Skywalker family weapon during Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Luke Skywalker didn't really pull out his old green lightsaber during Episodes 8 or 9 outside of flashback sequences. The latter debuted Leia's lightsaber on the big screen. Yep, blue again. And then Episode 9 only really gave us a small glimpse at Rey's yellow one before the credits rolled. Characters who have been known to use other lightsaber colors have also had their blades changed in various projects. Ahsoka was given a blue lightsaber makeover in the Clone Wars, while the green lightsaber sporting Depa Billaba and Sia Junda were given blue blades in the Bad Batch and Jedi Survivor TV show and game respectively. Cal Kestis, the lead protagonist of that series, has also been canonized with a blue lightsaber, despite players being able to choose what blade he wields in the games themselves. I would always go purple. Despite the Jedi being known to use a number of different colored kyber crystals in their weapons, Disney just seems to be obsessed with the color first seen being used by Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi all the way back in 1977. Now sure, the Acolyte gave viewers a few other colors for a somewhat refreshing change, with the odd green and yellow one and even a purple white whip being used. Oh, we were spoilt. But then Master Saul, the lead Jedi in the project, still boasted a blue one. And away from that show, it's been a blue life for so many of the Jedi in the Disney era. But why? Is Disney just afraid of experimenting more with the colors their heroes use in their galaxy far, far away? Do they just think blue is the color that represents the light side best when clashing against a Sith lightsaber? Who knows? But hopefully they mix things up a little more in the future, eh? I'm getting bored.